In a small village surrounded by lush green forests, there lived a young child named Kaito. He was a curious boy with big brown eyes and a mop of messy black hair. Kaito loved to explore the woods, chasing after butterflies and watching the birds sing in the trees. His grandmother, a kind and gentle woman named Akira, would often tell him stories of the forest and its magical creatures. Akira lived in a small hut on the edge of the village, surrounded by a beautiful garden filled with colorful flowers and the sweet scent of blooming jasmine. She would spend her days tending to the garden, cooking delicious meals, and weaving soft blankets on her loom. Kaito would often visit her, and they would sit together on the porch, watching the sun set behind the trees. "The forest is full of wonders, Kaito," Akira would say, "but you must always be kind and respectful to the creatures that live there." One day, while Kaito was out exploring, he stumbled upon a hidden clearing deep in the woods. In the center of the clearing stood an enormous tree, its trunk twisted and gnarled with age. The tree seemed to be humming a gentle melody, and Kaito felt drawn to it, as if it was calling to him. He reached out a hand to touch the trunk, and as he did, he felt a strange sensation wash over him. Suddenly, he was filled with a desire to climb the tree, to feel the rough bark beneath his hands and the warm sun on his face. Kaito began to climb, his hands and feet finding holds in the twisted trunk. The higher he climbed, the more the tree seemed to be singing to him, its melody weaving in and out of the rustling leaves. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and Kaito felt his heart fill with joy and wonder. As he reached the top of the tree, he looked out over the forest, feeling the wind in his hair and the sun on his face. "I feel free," he whispered to himself, like a bird soaring through the sky. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the forest, Kaito settled into a cozy nook in the branches of the tree. He felt his eyelids growing heavy, and his breathing slowed. The tree's melody grew softer, a gentle lullaby that seemed to be rocking him to sleep. "I will stay here forever," Kaito whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of the wind. And with that, he drifted off to sleep, surrounded by the sights and sounds of the forest. The moon rose high in the sky, casting a silver glow over the forest. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, their leaves rustling softly. Akira, back in her hut, smiled as she looked up at the moon. "Kaito is safe," she whispered to herself, "the forest is watching over him." And with that, she too drifted off to sleep, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of the night. The forest was quiet, the only sound the distant hooting of an owl. Kaito slept on, surrounded by the magic of the forest. And as he slept, something strange began to happen. His body began to change, his limbs stretching and morphing into something new. His hands and feet became agile and strong, his senses growing sharper. Kaito was becoming something else, something wild and free. He was becoming a monkey, a creature of the forest, and the forest was welcoming him with open arms. The transformation was slow and gentle, like a soft breeze on a summer day. Kato's body changed, his senses growing sharper, his limbs stronger. He felt a new sense of freedom, a sense of belonging to the forest. As he slept, the trees seemed to lean in, their branches whispering softly to him. The moon shone down, casting a silver glow over the forest, and Kaito felt its gentle light guiding him. When he woke, he was no longer a boy, but a monkey, agile and strong. He looked around, taking in the familiar sights of the forest, but seeing them from a new perspective. The trees seemed taller, the leaves greener, the flowers more vibrant. He felt a sense of wonder, a sense of excitement, as he explored his new body. He swung through the trees, his tail grasping for branches, his hands and feet finding holds with ease. The forest was his home now, and he felt a deep connection to the land, to the trees, to the creatures that lived here. As he swung through the trees, he came across a group of monkeys, playing and laughing in the sun. They looked up at him, curious, and Kaito felt a sense of shyness. But they welcomed him with open arms, chattering and squeaking in delight. They showed him the secrets of the forest, the hidden streams, the secret glades, the best trees to climb. Kaito felt a sense of belonging, a sense of being part of a community. He played with the monkeys, laughing and chasing, feeling the joy of being wild and free. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the forest. Kaito and the monkeys settled down, watching the stars twinkle to life in the sky. They sat in silence, listening to the sounds of the forest, the hooting of owls, the chirping of crickets. Kaito felt a sense of peace, a sense of contentment, as he looked up at the stars. He knew that Akira was watching over him, that she was smiling as she saw him happy and free. As the night deepened, Kaito and the monkeys settled down to sleep, curled up in a cozy ball, their bodies warm and relaxed. The forest was quiet, the only sound the distant hooting of an owl. Kaito felt his eyes growing heavy, his breathing slowing, as he drifted off to sleep, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of the night. The moon shone down, casting a silver glow over the forest, and Kaito felt its gentle light guiding him into a deep and dreamless sleep. The next morning, Kaito woke to the sound of birds singing, their melodies filling the air. He stretched, arching his back, extending his arms and legs. He felt strong, agile, and free. He swung through the trees, joining the monkeys as they played and laughed in the sun. The forest was alive, vibrant, and full of wonder. Kaito felt a sense of joy, a sense of belonging, as he explored the forest, discovering new sights, new sounds, new sensations. He was a monkey now, a creature of the forest, and the forest was his home. As the day wore on, Kaito and the monkeys made their way to a hidden clearing, deep in the forest. In the center of the clearing was a beautiful waterfall, cascading down a rocky slope. The sound of the water was like music, a gentle melody that filled the air. Kaito and the monkeys sat down, watching the water, feeling the cool mist on their faces. They sat in silence, listening to the sound of the waterfall, feeling the peace and tranquility of the forest. And as they sat, Keto felt a sense of connection to the natural world, a sense of belonging to the land, to the trees, to the creatures that lived here. He was a monkey, a creature of the forest, and the forest was his home. The sunlight filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Keto and the monkeys sat in silence, watching the waterfall, feeling the cool mist on their faces. The sound of the water was like a lullaby, gentle and soothing. Keto felt his eyelids growing heavy, his breathing slowing, as he listened to the sound of the waterfall. The monkeys seemed to be feeling the same way, their eyes growing sleepy, their bodies relaxing. One by one, they lay down, curling up on the soft grass. Keto followed, stretching out on the ground, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin. The sound of the waterfall grew fainter, as Keto's eyes drifted closed. The forest was quiet, the only sound the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. Keto felt himself drifting off to sleep, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of the forest. The monkeys were sleeping, their bodies rising and falling with each breath. The waterfall continued to cascade down the rocky slope, its sound growing softer, more distant. Keto's breathing slowed, his body relaxing, as he felt himself becoming one with the forest. He was a part of the natural world, connected to the land, to the trees, to the creatures that lived here. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the forest, Keto felt a sense of peace, a sense of contentment. The forest was quiet, the only sound the distant hooting of an owl. The monkeys were sleeping, their bodies warm and relaxed. Keto felt his own body growing heavy, his eyelids closing, as he drifted off to sleep. The forest was dark, the only light the soft glow of the moon. The waterfall continued to cascade down the rocky slope, its sound growing softer, more distant. The night deepened, the forest growing quieter, more still. Keto and the monkeys were sleeping, their bodies curled up on the soft grass. The waterfall was a gentle whisper, a soft melody that filled the air. The forest was peaceful, the only sound the distant hooting of an owl. The moon shone down, casting a silver glow over the forest, illuminating the trees, the creatures, the waterfall. Keto felt himself surrounded by the peaceful sounds of the night, his body relaxed, his mind at peace. As the night wore on, the forest grew quieter, more still. The waterfall was a soft whisper, a gentle melody that filled the air. Keto and the monkeys were sleeping, their bodies curled up on the soft grass. The forest was dark, the only light the soft glow of the moon. The trees stood tall, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. The creatures of the forest were sleeping, their bodies warm and relaxed. The forest was peaceful, the only sound the distant hooting of an owl. The night was deep, the forest was still. Keto and the monkeys were sleeping, their bodies curled up on the soft grass. The waterfall was a soft whisper, a gentle melody that filled the air. The forest was peaceful, the only sound the distant hooting of an owl. The moon shone down, casting a silver glow over the forest, illuminating the trees, the creatures, the waterfall. Keto felt himself surrounded by the peaceful sounds of the night, his body relaxed, his mind at peace. And as he slept, the forest grew quieter, more still, until everything was silent, and still, and peaceful.